Hey. Hello, everybody. This is Hayden Talks MMA from TikTok, Instagram. Sometimes I've been posting on YouTube Shorts. I'm transitioning over to YouTube, and I'm pretty happy to do that. I mean, I like long form content. I like talking about fighting, I guess, as like a long, like I guess longer talks about fighting. It's easier to explain. I have a tough time explaining in like a short period of time my thoughts, so this is gonna help out me out big time. Still gonna post a short form content for all three viewers of you out there, but yeah, let's get into it. The UFC power rankings they dropped today. There's some controversy, obviously, whenever they drop the power rankings. I always like to go over them. I always have my own thoughts. I mean, sometimes there are some dumb decisions made on this one for sure. I definitely think I don't know who's like I know that they obviously have a separate commission that's part of the power. I don't know. They're dumb sometimes. Let's call a spade a spade. I think they always get the top 5 somewhat correct. This time it's a little messy in my opinion, but that like 9 through 15 area they've never gotten right, and I'm gonna go through it and show you. But let's just get right into it. Just wanted to go over some notable snubs. Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, when I say notable snubs, to be fair, I'm not talking about these guys should be in the top 15. Rather that these, don't be surprised, maybe these guys, could be in the top 15 after one more fight or so, right? Or, my opinion, these guys are on the edge, right? Umar Nurmagomedov, Merab is very highly ranked, as we're going to see. Spoiler alert. And, Umar, in my opinion, gave him the best fight. I know Sean, on paper, had a really good fight against him the first time around. He got dominated the second time around. And plus, also, it never really felt like Sean's fight. Those first 2 rounds felt like Umar's rounds, for sure. Like, I honestly thought Merab was going to lose that fight. As we know, Umar breaks his hand, supposedly. I think he actually does. I think he posted an Instagram post about it. Merab kicks it up a gear. We see cardio machine Merab. Merab wins. That's why he's so high up. That's why he's a champion. Whatever. I think Umar, if he beats like a Peter Yan, a Sean O'Malley, I think he, you could throw him over the guys that are 15 through 13, honestly. I think Umar's that guy, man. I think he's good. I think he just ran into the greatest bantamweight of all time in all reality. I think he can still get the belt one day. We'll see. Yuri. Everyone loves Yuri. Yuri's wins are not aging the best sometimes, I'll say. I mean, Dominic Reyes wins aging perfectly, I would say, actually. Some of them are. I don't know. It's more the Alex losses that are really going to hang over his head. Knocking out Jamal was great. I mean, I think we're seeing definitely the downfall of Jamal Hill, I'll say, but I think Yuri had a really good fight with him and showed his, his newfound technique, if you will. Excuse me. I think Yuri is fine being outside the top 15. I think he will creep back in there one day for sure. I think very soon. Sean Brady, this guy's a dog, Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady is by far the most, overlooked fighter. I wouldn't say underrated, because that's ridiculous. Overlooked fighter right now in the UFC. Submits Leon Edward, right, a former champion, which the past 2 former champions couldn't do. Belal and Kamaru Usman. They couldn't submit him. They couldn't even, control him all that well. I mean, I know Belal kind of manhandled him, but, it was just a wrestling match half the time with Belal. But Sean Brady submitted him. Let's not forget that. In London, too, on top of that. Sean Brady's only loss is the former champion, Belal Muhammad. And I know he got TKO by him, which that's bad, getting TKO by Belal. But I think Sean Brady's still a great fighter. I think he's going to be in that title contention very, very soon, within the next 2 years for sure. I know the weight class is playing out weird right now, but you got to give him his credit. I think Sean Brady's a dog, and I think he's going to be in there very, very soon. Shavkat surprised me a little bit that he wasn't in there just because of his aura. As stupid as it sounds, how the fact he's 18 finishes and he's 1 loss to Ian Gary, which the Ian Gary loss is, it's proven to be pretty well. It looks like they're going to throw Ian Gary in title contention very, very soon. So, I mean, I don't think that's a bad loss at the end of the day for Shavkat. I don't think that's a bad, the fact that he didn't finish him. He has no losses, obviously. He's 19-0. I don't know where he is right now off the top of my head in the rankings. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you. Shavkat. It's number 3. So the 2 guys that are above Shavkat right now, I'm looking at them, is Sean Brady and Belal. So, I mean, we're going to see Belal in this ranking. Spoiler yet again. And Sean Brady, like I said, is a notable snub. So, I mean, I think Shavkat, you can argue, maybe even the number 15 pick. I'm not going to say it, but there's some. Shavkat's that dude. I'll just put it that way. He's going to be in there very, very soon. Now let's go to the first guy. Khamzat. Khamzat feels right. I feel like this is a guy. He could be higher. We're going to go over the next couple of guys. You can argue him over him. The 10 through 15 spot, obviously, there's no champions around here usually. I always find that this is kind of the area where it's like these guys are good, but they're not champions. They might be champions soon, or maybe they were former champions, whatever, right? On paper, like I said, this makes a lot of sense, but maybe in reality, like in my opinion, Khamzat is probably, pound for pound, if we're taking, how much does this guy dominates? I think this guy could be considered a top 8 fighter in the UFC. Just the way his wrestling just dominates his weight class. He makes everyone look so stupid out there. Plus, he just wins in 2 divisions. I know they're not crazy wins in both those divisions, but it proves something. And I think it will be higher after UFC 319, no matter what. Because here's the thing. I cannot see Dricus finishing him in any way. If it is, it's like a 4th round, 5th round TKO. I can't see it, though. Khamzat beats him. Obviously, he shoots way up in the rankings, right? Champion, undefeated, whatever. But if he even loses to him, I think he gives him probably the best fight that anyone's given him so far besides Sean the first time around, Strickland. Israel didn't give him a good fight. Sean the second time around didn't really give him a good fight. I think Khamzat's obviously, like people are saying, this is the best test for him. I tend to agree with that one. Khamzat's the man. We'll see how it goes. Okay. UFC, what are you on? This is where this drives me nuts, bro. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Arman is ranked number 14. Charles Oliveira is ranked number 13. Now, if I had a guy beat another guy, wouldn't I have ranked that other guy higher? Huh. The answer is yes. I know Arman's been really inactive. He hasn't been active since UFC 300. Charles beat Michael Chandler, bro. A win that's not aging too gracefully for him. I think Arman, with the whole fiasco, Dana White not getting the title shot, they're giving it to Ilia and Charles. That's fine. Whatever. I could really care less about that. But to put Arman below a guy that he beat, because look, I'm fairly confident. I put it in here. I gotta double check just again, just so I can check my sources. Looking at it right now, yeah, Arman's number 1, Charles Oliveira's number 2 in terms of ranking the division. Now, obviously, save Charles wins this weekend, you're gonna put him way above Arman, right? He's gonna be a top whatever fighter in the UFC at that point, probably top 7. I could see him being, right? This is more proof the rankings don't make any sense. Why is this a thing? Why are they putting him? Arman below Charles, a guy he literally beat? That does not make any sense. The rankings have always been a mysterious thing, and this is just way more proof they are. Like, what are they smoking over there, dude? Okay, I had to adjust my camera. Sorry to all the Charles Oliveira fans. I don't know if you noticed, my camera was blocking his face during that whole Arman and Charles rant. But this doesn't make any sense. I've already went over it. I'm not going to go over it again. This is dumb. I don't know. I'm always shocked at what the UFC can do with the rankings, if you will. All right, let's move on. Belal definitely should be lower. All 5 of you Belal fans, come at me. I don't care. He's a bum. No, I'm kidding. He's great, but here's the reality with Belal. He won the belt against a bad champion and had no title defenses, no successful title defenses, right? Does that really make you a top 15 fighter in the world? To me, no, right? In my opinion, I don't think he's even top 3 in this division. I'm not going to say that on paper, right? It's JDM and then him on paper, the former champion, right? Who also beat Leon Edwards, right? And Gilbert Burns and Wonderboy Thompson, right? Some good wins over there and stuff like that. And he dominated Leon Edwards. Let's not get that out of the way, right? He dominated him. But he was a bad champ, Leon Edwards. Everybody former champ status, Charles... You can make an argument Charles over him, right? This is just not I don't like Belal being 12. I think he should be around that 14, 15 spot, to be honest with you. Not many wins if we're going by like recency of like, oh, who's in your top 5 and stuff like that. Like he has a win over Sean Brady. That's the other one I'm thinking of, which is a great win that has aged pretty good and stuff like that. But you didn't do much as champion. That's just the way I look at it. I think he should be around that 14, 15 spot, in my opinion. I think Arman should be over him. That's my opinion. I'm not even high on Arman. I think Arman's kind of not my favorite fighter, I'll say. But I can understand the Arman hype, I'll say. Max Holloway. Okay. This is a guy that I think should also be in that 13, 14, 15 spot. I think he's way too high. I think he, realistically speaking, I think pound for pound he loses to Arman. I think pound for pound he loses to Charles. I know he's in both those weight classes now. Maybe he'll fight those guys one day. We'll see. I think pound for pound he's not as good as Belal. I think pound for pound he's not as good as Khamzat in the most recent years. I know he had a really good showing against Ilia. I know he took Justin Gaethje's lights out. But, like, if we're going by the last 2 years, Khamzat's submitting ranked opponents, right? And, in the first round sometimes, right? Arman's beating former champions, right? And Charles is fighting for the belt this weekend. I think Belal was a former champion. I'm not putting Max Holloway above those guys. That's my opinion. He had a really good showing against Ilia. That's the one thing that's kind of... Ilia looks like this invincible kind of guy right now and stuff like that, which I love. I'm a big Ilia Topuria fan. I think Max Holloway... if he beats Dustin like I have here, I think that justifies the position a little bit better. Because Dustin's also one of, like, a notable snub, I guess, right? Dustin is just that guy. Had a really good showing against Islam. Beat Benoit Saint Denis. Has wins over Justin Gaethje, has wins over Max Holloway, right? If Max Holloway wins this fight against Justin come UFC 318, I'll give Max a position like this. But right now, I think he's being a little overrated, in my opinion. Because, and like I said, I just think the guys, the prior that I just mentioned, I think pound for pound, they are better than him. No disrespect to Max Holloway. I think he's a great fighter. Entertaining. Very entertaining fighter. So they did a weird thing, right? They tied Pantoja and Alex. This is where the list gets interesting, right? Alex is fine in my opinion. I think Alex is one of the best non-champions right now. I know Ilia and Islam are technically non-champions, but come on, you know what I'm saying, right? I think Alex also has probably the best chance of the light heavyweight division of getting the title. I can't see Yuri beating Magomed. I can't see, Halil, Carl Zorberg, right? I can't see these guys being Magomed anytime soon. Alex got that power that can take his lights out still. I know he's getting older, but I still take Magomed in the rematch. Don't get twisted. Pantoja should be top 5 or close to the top 5, in my opinion, right? Pantoja is dominating these guys. They're bringing in fighters from other organizations. Like, please beat this guy, right? If we had freaking, Islam so dominant and they brought in a PFL guy to hopefully beat Islam, we'd be talking about this guy's the GOAT. I mean, he's number 1 pound for pound. Bad example. But Pantoja is this guy. He is just electric when he goes in there. I think he's one of the best fighters on the planet right now. I think also if he goes out there and beats probably his biggest challenge yet at the title, a heavy hand takedown defense master in Kai Kara France, I think he's Dricus. I think he's, that level of fighter. I think he's over a lot of these guys I'm about to mention very soon. You're talking about 3 title defenses, I think, off the top of my head for Pantoja, and one of them being one of the greatest flyweights of all time, Brandon Moreno. Come on. Pantoja, the flyweight disrespect needs to stop. Pantoja is that guy. He's also a well-rounded fighter, too. It's not like he's just like a heavy hand grappler or heavy hand, striker. He's all around a great fighter. I don't know why he is so low. It's because he's in flyweight and they disrespect flyweight. That's the only reason. Tom Aspinall, the new heavyweight champion. I mean, always my champion, right? John Jones can go kick rocks for all I care, right? I think Tom could be higher. I think this is where it gets a little interesting. The problem with Tom being higher is there are a lot of cans he has faced. And I don't want to sound like a John Jones defender, right? But that's the reality of the situation. Heavyweight is the weakest division in the UFC by far. right? People say it's flyweight, not even close. It's heavyweight. Those guys have power, and that's it, right? And even when you want to say power, like, yeah, sure, they have that one shot power, but is the power they're having really as impressive as, like, I don't know, like Ilia's power, or like even like I don't know, like a Josh Emmett, as stupid as that sounds, or a John Silver, like these guys in those lower weight classes have power. That to me is more impressive when they could take a guy's lights out in one punch. Like these guys are so big. This division, we can go make a whole other video about that division. It's bad. That division's bad right now. That's the problem with Tom being so high, is that division's so bad. But I still think he'll be top 5 next year. I'm kind of fine with this ranking right here of Tom. I still think he could be higher. The next guys you're about to see, he's higher than those guys, some of them, right? That is for sure. And also with John holding out for so long, he couldn't really, like, if John, say, got stripped back in December, we wouldn't be in this situation. Tom would be way higher, right? Tom, if he beats Cyril Gane pretty quickly, he's got to do it as fast as John, or Twitter fingers are going to start going with John. If he does it as fast as John within a round or two, if he, goes out there and he, like, maybe does a rematch with Volkov, dominates him, whatever, and just does what Tom has been doing for so long, I can't see putting anywhere besides like the top 5. I mean, even top 6. I said a lot of top 5 guys, so we'll see. But the UFC is just so loaded right now. We got so many greats of all times in our divisions right now that poor Tom, a year off has really affected his ranking, with John sitting out. Kind of stinks, huh? Maybe they should have done something. Maybe they should have done something, UFC. Okay. JDM. This is where I get a little annoyed. JDM has just got the belt. He has no defenses. He got the belt after beating Gilbert Burns, which is a win that's not aging too well. And I like JDM. JDM's really good. He's one of my favorite fighters. I love the boxing style he has. He's not number 7 right now in the UFC, in my opinion. He's not over Tom. Let's get that out of the way. He's not a better fighter than Tom Aspinall. I think him and Tom, you switch, I'd be a little bit more fine with this list. I know JDM's weight class is much, much tougher than Tom's, right? I mean, Gilbert Burns, I just ragged on him, but he is. And Belal Muhammad, for the guy he just beat, those guys are pound for pound better than most of the ranked heavyweights, I would say, right? I'd say Belal is probably like, Cyril Gane's the number 1 contender in heavyweight. I'd say Belal's reasonably way higher pound for pound ranked than him. So JDM has a great win over him. But Tom has taken these guys out in round 1 or 2. Shortest fight time in the UFC ever. This guy has just got the belt off of Belal Muhammad, who Belal Muhammad got the belt off one of the worst champions just a bad champ, not one of the worst champs. I shouldn't get carried away. We're doing too much fighter math. Has no defenses. I can't put him over the Tom Aspinall. Even Alex Pereira, in my opinion, is pushing it a little bit, but that's just me. If he beats Islam, though, I know I've thrown out this top 5 a lot over here. Top 5. I think he becomes top 5 on the pound for pound list, because Islam's instantly out of there on that pound for pound list, right? Maybe he's like that 6, 7, but I hate that I just said that, right? But don't clip that. I think if he beats Islam, he's a top 5 fighter in the world for sure. Volk needs to go up 1. You're going to see why he needs to go up 1 precisely in just a minute, okay? He's one of the goats of the sport. In my opinion, he's top 5. I would go as far to say top 3, right? His only recent losses, right? Pretty much, I don't know if this was his only losses in the UFC ever, right? But I want to almost say that, right? In recent memory, we'll say. We'll just go off of that, right? Since he's been on this run. His only recent losses are 2 of the top 3 on this pound for pound list. Ilia, Islam. Sorry for the spoiler alert, right? He goes to war with Islam, comes back, beats Yair Rodriguez, destroys him, goes on a short notice fight, gets knocked out by Islam. I feel like that's a scratch, right? I know it helps Islam, if anything. It shouldn't affect Volk. He went up a weight class, 2-week notice, against the pound for pound best fighter, a guy that's way bigger than him. I don't think you get brownie points taken off for you for that, right? Ilia, though, obviously he gets knocked out by Ilia. Say what you want. Took that fight in too short after getting knocked out. Whatever. I make your argument. But the facts are the facts. He should definitely be below Ilia, right? But those are your only losses? And then you go out there and beat Diego Lopez, a heavy hand fighter, and you not only beat him, you 4-1 him. I'd say Diego Lopez maybe got around. Even then, that's pushing, in my opinion. He rocked him, Diego Lopez, but Volk just put on a masterclass going out there. And I can't see why the guy above him is. Let's just get to it. Oh my. Magomed. Way too high. Magomed is not better than Tom. Magomed is not better than Volk. Magomed's maybe better than JDM pound for pound. And that's a maybe, right? No title defenses, right? I know JDM has no title defenses either, right? And Volk doesn't get on this new run. But it's Volkanovski. Give me a break over here. If they want to do the John Jones putting red too, you could do the same thing with Volk, in my opinion, right? He did not have an incredible victory over Alex Pereira, right? He 4-1'd him. I'd say Alex maybe had one round on him. But, were the rounds, he just pushed him against the cage and kneed him to the body a couple times. I mean, is that really a win to hang your head on? In my opinion, no, right? But he still won at the end of the day, and I think he is obviously deserving of that top 8, I'd say, pound for pound. But top 5? Are you kidding me? Over Volk? Over Tom? Even JDM. JDM went out there as the 4th ranked welterweight, if I'm not wrong, and put on a fight of the year against Belal Muhammad, right? And truthfully, he would have got Belal Muhammad out of that cage if Belal Muhammad wasn't such a dog and took all those punches to the face. You put most of those top welterweights in there, they ain't getting out of there. They ain't staying in there for long. JDM's taking them out pretty quickly. So Magomed's way too high. You're telling me a top 5 fighter of all time arguably is below Magomed Ankalaev, who just had a win over old man Alex Pereira? Give me a break. Give me a break. DDP. Perfect ranking. I'm not going to say Dricus anymore. I saw that TikTok comment. Dricus. I have a speech impediment. I hate you. This is a perfect ranking. I think Dricus is perfectly right here. I honestly, though, here's the one thing. I wrote this down. If he beats Khamzat, may move up 1. I don't even know, man. The people that are above him, right? They're just. It feels like they're so solidified in that 1 through 3. I don't know if a win over Khamzat puts you over any one of those guys. Honestly, that's how much of this the UFC right now is just so loaded. It's crazy. I mean, the best way that he could go up, like I said right here, is or if one of the top guys loses, if Ilia or Islam lose when they go up against Charles or JDM, I'd put DDP in that top 3 pretty easily. I'd put him over a lot of people, right? I know he's got a weird style. I know that pound for pound ranking's kind of mostly like, oh, who's the best, who's got the best technique. DDP's coming out here. He's submitting, one of the best middleweights of all time, if not the best in some conversations. I wouldn't go there. He knocked out Rob Whittaker. He, put on a show against Sean Strickland the second time. People say the first fight's pretty close. I think DDP had it by a decent margin, I'll say. I think it was close, but I think Dricus is number 4 for sure. I think this is a good ranking. Good job, UFC rankings. The Magomed I'm not going to forgive you for, but this is good. All right, the number 3 ranking, Ilia Topuria. Yet again, perfect ranking in my opinion, right? If he wins, he could be number 1. Let's get this out of the way. We have to have this realistic conversation. Islam, he did vacate the belt. He is now the challenger of a division. Ilia is not the challenger, right? It's a vacated belt. He is now the challenger of welterweight, right? Ilia is a champion. Do you put a champion over technically a former champion? I think there's a conversation to be had there. I wouldn't. I think Islam is still pound for pound number 1 as of right now until he fights JDM. If he wins against JDM, it's not even a question, right? But I will say this. If Ilia does win and Islam does win, if Islam loses, right, we're going to see Merab and Ilia battle off of that 1 spot. I think there's a potential tie there, honestly, because Merab is just arguably the greatest bantamweight of all time. And now you got Ilia. I'd say if he beats Charles, goes up a weight class, you got to say he's one of the greatest fighters of all time, at least in this modern era, right? So I think that 1 spot could be tied for. I think, yet again, this is a perfect ranking. I think this 1 through 3, I'm going to say it's all a perfect ranking. 1 through 4, it's all a perfect ranking. It's hard to mess up the 1 through the 4. The only time you can is when you have John Jones taking up a division and you're a dummy and letting him take up a division. But whatever. He's gone, right? He's gone. So we'll let that be for now. Okay, so yet again, I had the perfect record. Merab at 2. Yet again, if Islam and Ilia lose, this is what the thing of the pound for pound rankings. It gets so interesting now around this time because you got so many people moving around to different weight classes and stuff like that. We're going to see how they look going up, being a little heavier and stuff like that. If Islam and Ilia lose, which that is a possible scenario, let's get that out of the way, right? I mean, Ilia going up a big weight class at Islam. I know he's big, but that's a big weight jump, right? Well, for both of them, he is no doubt pound for pound. Even if Dricus beats Khamzat, I'm taking Merab as pound for pound, right? I'd say this guy has solidified himself as a top 7 fighter of all time. He is the bantamweight GOAT, in my opinion. He is so dominant. Won't going up, though, will affect his pound for pound rankings. Say if Islam and Ilia win, you can't throw them below Merab, in my opinion, right? They're literally going up a weight class to prove how good they are, right? You cannot, at that point, then say that Merab is over them because Merab is sticking in his weight class. They are proving their skills and going up another weight class. That, to me, is more dominant than dominating in one weight class, which sounds pretty obvious now saying it out loud. But I thought it was a good idea, and I thought it was a good point. Let me have it. Islam Makhachev. Yet again, a perfect ranking. This guy's number 1. It's not even a question, right? Dana White saying, John Jones was number 1 fighter in the world at one time. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yet again, let's move on. Maybe I'm a little bit salty still. Okay, time out. Now we have no Americans, by the way, as champions. Just so all you other Americans know, that's what we're dealing with. Just to let you guys know. Interesting thought process, I'll say. If he beats JTM, I would say on a technical scale, you could argue him as the pound for pound GOAT. Goes up a weight class and beats, I'd say, arguably a nightmare matchup for him a little bit. A heavy-handed, because here's the thing with Islam people aren't talking about with this. Islam always wears damage by the end of every fight we've ever watched of him. Against Volk the first time, he wore a lot of damage. Against Dustin, he wore a lot of damage, right? I think if he goes up and beats JDM, he's arguably pound for pound. I'm not saying GOAT in terms of like resume, but if I'm saying, all right, I need the best fighter of all time in terms of skill, technique, whatever, cardio, athleticism, I might take Islam at that point. I'll say this also, losing to JDM does not really affect his ranking. No, he's going to be out of the top 5. Let's get that out of the way. The top 5 is so stacked, he's going to be out of there, right? He's not going to drop below, I don't know, like, I can't see him going below like 7 or 8 at that point. You're still talking about the former number 1 pound for pound champion, and he's taking on a higher task. He might even like be honestly over some champions at that point, which I would not be I would not hate. But yeah, that's the UFC pound for pound rankings. Let me know what you guys think. Trying out this YouTube thing. So constructive criticism would always be nice. Maybe give me hate comments. I could really care less. Trying out this YouTube thing. Gonna have more videos coming in the future. Always more videos on TikTok, Instagram, and stuff like that. Please give me a follow. Hayden Talks MMA or Talk MMA Hayden. I love the sport of MMA. Trying to help it grow. Trying to help MMA journalism be better. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.